Hey, Canna fam, it's Chris CannaFlower here on Dro TV with the interview, and I had such an amazing time, blazing, puffing with my man Mike. We talked about my first time getting high, and I learned about his time first getting high before the episode to do my homework. But hit that like, follow Dro TV, follow me on Instagram if you want, and have a fantastic night.
Welcome to My First Time, the show about your first time getting high on marijuana. I'm your host, Mike Freeman with Dro TV. Today, I'd like to welcome our guest, Chris CannaFlower. What's happening?
Hey, man. Thanks for the intro. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on the show today. You can find more of Chris on Instagram at Chris_CannaFlower. So, dude, let everybody know where you are located and what you got going on in the cannabis world.
Definitely, man. So I live in the capital of Canada. I'm here in Ottawa, Ontario. We live in a townhome, nothing special. But anyways, yeah. So Ottawa, Ontario. It's pretty cool, pretty busy town. Lots of stuff going on with the Prime Minister here and all that. But besides that, man, I'm just a regular Joe, father of two boys, married for 13 years. I've been growing cannabis, say about 5 years now. It's been going roughly. And I absolutely love it. It's helped me and it's helped others. And it's been phenomenal with the in my life. What I can say. Sorry. It's helped out a lot of people that I know as well within my life. So I just love sharing it, sharing it with people and sharing the knowledge of the healing part of it, the rec part of it, the growing part of it, everything, man. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. What you smoking on there?
So in here we got some, I just picked it up actually because I'm in between grows right now and unfortunately I ran out of flower. So I just picked up from a local delivery place here in Ottawa. It's called BC Bud Depot and it's some Newcomb. So it's a hybrid, kind of like an uplifting creative high. It's pretty tasty, man. It's really good. I like it. I've never tried it before. And it was 15 to 18% THC roughly. So it's tasty.
Nice. There you go. Well, Chris, the show is my first time, so exhale, take a breath.
Definitely.
And please, let's get into your story of the first time you got high.
Yeah, man. So it's been not a long time ago, but quite some time now. But so first time getting high, man, it was in high school. High school, experimenting with friends. I remember getting a gram of weed with a buddy of mine. His name was Shane. And we got this gram of weed in this crumpled up thing of tinfoil. And my buddy chain smoked all the time, so it was normal for him. And me, it was my first time. So, long story short, it was an interesting thing. So we went for a walk to a park, and he introduced me to what cannabis smelled like, what it tasted like, what it felt like. So he rolled up a doobie, and we sat, we chilled, we puffed. I was a cigarette smoker at the time, so lungs weren't too bad. It didn't hit me too hard, but it was okay. It's not like the weed we've got nowadays where it's phenomenal. The flavors, the taste, the variety, the just the options that we have now is crazy. But it was good. But the funny thing was, Mike, is you don't do it at lunchtime and go back to class. So anyways, so we ended up doing it. We went for a walk and I felt great, man. It felt really good. But then the high kind of got a little bit more intense when I was sitting in class. And so I took a nap. I took a nap. Well, we all go to school. Teachers don't let you take naps. So my teacher came over and tapped me on the shoulder and, hey, Chris, what's going on? Why are you tired? And as I raised my head, eyes bloodshot. So like, you got allergies? And I'm like, I'm not feeling so good, teach. So long story short, they told me to go for a walk. So I went for a walk. It was a long walk. I just strolled the halls of school, man. It was an interesting buzz, let me tell you. It wasn't a panicky buzz. It was just not a couch lock, obviously, either, because I walked the whole time.
Right.
It was an interesting, chill, mellow buzz, and nothing weird about it. I can't say that there was any like odd experience or funny experience. I mean, I have other experiences with my dog accidentally eating a cookie that I've baked up, and have other experiences where I've gotten back into it after not smoking for a while, and sitting on my mother's living room floor shaking because I was freezing. but that was my first time, man. It was interesting. I was nervous as heck. I can tell you that. I mean, out at a park still, at that time, it wasn't legal. It was completely illegal. It was the bad thing. It wasn't the good plant it is now. And it was fun. It was fun, man. It was interesting to do and then go back to class. I would never do it again. But yeah, that was the first time I got high.
Did it give you the feeling of, all right, I did it. No one knew I was, I passed the test as far as, the teacher didn't figure it out. So did it give you any kind of feeling where it's like, yeah, maybe I could, like you said, you didn't want to do it again, but maybe you were like, yeah, it's not as bad as I thought. I can control myself. She didn't really know. So like, did it give you a
Yeah.
little, momentum?
It definitely it Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, I continued a few more times after that. So I didn't learn my lesson. I continued on, and it felt better and better, and then adapted to the high and learned how to somewhat control it a bit better, right? So I guess, yes, I did kind of get somewhat of a achievement, accomplishment, control gain. It was great. But then I stopped for a bit. I don't know about others. Growing up, life happens, right?
Sure.
And yeah, and now I'm back into it full time. It's amazing.
Nice. Uh, what brought you back around to get back into it? Was it the legalization?
So it was well, I mean, it was not the legalization. It was my father got sick. It was a little bit of a sad story. That ends up being a good thing for me. But long story short, my father got sick with esophagus cancer. So I ended up going and getting my license knowing he wouldn't do it, because the second my mom and dad gave me a call saying dad's sick with cancer, for some odd reason, I don't know why, Mike, but instantly cannabis just popped in my head. It's not like I was researching it just came to me. So I myself went and registered and got my ACMPR license, to purchase, not grow. And then I was buying CBD oils for my father throughout his illness, and he wouldn't smoke, so it was all the CBD oils, and then there's some, like, THC, and so 1-to-1 mixtures and stuff that I got for him. And then we lost him, and then from there, it was more for myself. It was more medical for myself. I noticed that it was helping me out a lot more, not focusing on my father as much. And then because I was dabbling in it too, because I didn't want to give him anything that would kind of sativa wise, right? For instance, I didn't want to give him anything that would kind of make him panic, because he was also on morphine and stuff, the pain in that. So that's what brought me back in, and ever since then I've loved it. It's helped me with my illness. I live with bipolar type 2, and it helps control the mood swings. It helps you feel great. There's Kind of like having coffee sometimes. I have a really busy day at work. I come home and the boys want to play soccer or something, and it's like, oh my god, I want to take a nap, but I'll have a little puff, and the next thing you know, you got a little boost of energy and you feel great. So it's amazing. That's why I got back into it, I guess. One of the main things is health and the benefits of it.
Nice. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your pops.
Thank
Um,
you.
and at least you're still able to medicate with this plant and it's doing something for you. You're you're a gardener as well. Did you always have this green thumb, or did this just kind of come with the learning? Once you learn cannabis, you kind of gradually gravitate towards vegetables and plants.
I think, to be honest, Mike, I think once you learn cannabis, you kind of get the urge to grow other things. But myself, growing up, I've always wanted to be farm for some odd reason. So I think it's kind of been in within me. It's just now that I've, dove into the gardening, because I never really had an interest to pop a seed before. I always bought my vegetables. I always went out and never really wanted to put time or effort into growing anything because it's easy to purchase, right? But it definitely did lead me into building a raised bed in my backyard, and from there, not only the raised bed, I love the fabric pots for vegetables as well, because you can kind of put them here, there, and everywhere, and they have the variety of sizes for the different style of plants, and basil and tomato plants even, and it's phenomenal. But it definitely leads you into gardening. And
Hey everybody, I want to quickly mention food forest abundance. Food forest abundance is a great way to create your own self-sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature, but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
do I have a green thumb? Possibly. It's just you learn quickly that the plant is not as sensitive as you think it is. You're like, oh my goodness, what's happening? The leaves are turning yellow. Well, don't freak out. Just take a deep breath, do a little bit of research, and then fix the problem. It's not going to die, because a lot of the times when I first started, Mike, I I overloved the plant, is what some people would say, and I would over nutrient, and the next thing you know, going from a nutrient deficiency, now I'm coming to a nitrogen and toxicity because of what I've done. So it's interesting. Caring for the plant is a whole new thing compared to just consuming it.
Mm. Yeah, it's a whole art. I mean, they
Yeah,
teach classes on it.
yeah.
Now, are you strictly indoors? You grow any outdoors? I know your climate's it's probably a short period that you can grow outside, but
So I dabble on the outdoors, maybe one or two, the last 2 years. So last year I grew an autoflower and a photo period. I was able to harvest both, which I was lucky. I'm mainly indoors. Sorry. So my air answer is, yeah, I do grow indoors. I have been growing indoors. That's how I started, and that's what I would prefer, I guess you would say, because you can control the environment and less
sure.
headaches, less pests, less chances of mold, and Mother Nature. You can't stop her from raining on your plant and that. So, but I do love growing outdoors because it's phenomenal to see how different the sun treats the plant,
Sure.
right? I mean, we have all our beautiful artificial lights that we throw down with all the different colors and intensities and that, but the sun, nothing can compare to it.
Yeah, I have a garden here. I've got mango trees I started from seed. They're maybe foot tall, foot and a half tall. Um, and I mean, I got a bunch of other stuff too, but some stuff just gets cooked in the sun, dead instantly. And then other stuff, it's like, no, give me more sun.
Yeah, they
Uh,
thrive.
I've got self-wicking buckets where I've got potatoes growing right now,
Yeah,
and they seem to like the water. They don't mind the sun. Most of it's indirect sun, but it's like 100 degrees here too. So the heat,
yeah,
there's all these elements where I'm focused on the springtime. But since I mean, it doesn't really start getting cold here until November, so I've been planting stuff most through August. I've got some seeds to go in into some, seedling containers tonight, just to see what else we can get. I've got some squashes growing. The ants are killing them right now, so I've been putting diatomaceous earth on them. But we're kind of just learning what works and what doesn't. What side of the yard does it matter? What we plant in? Should we use pots? I've got garden beds I'm building right
Yeah.
now. So like you said, it's fun. It's enlightening. It brings you, back into nature. And so the HDPE bucket behind you there, that's, you got water in there?
Yeah, so it's just that's not it's just a water reservoir where I just fill it up and I guess you would say bubble out my chlorine.
Okay.
I've got two air stones that are sitting vertically in there, the longer versions that bubble all day long. And the other side, I'm not sure if you can really see it the greatest. I've got a rosin press that I've not purchased. I put it together myself.
Okay.
So bought the plates and then the press itself. Dabbling in the edible thing right now. I just recently made some rosin infused honey, which was phenomenal. It was
Wow.
it was really tasty. Yeah, Mike, I put it in honey. I put it in my coffee. I put it English muffin with peanut butter, yeah, almost anything, right? I do concentrates. I haven't done it's just rosin, right? So it's the solventless that I play around with.
Okay.
I've learned how to make hash through the teachings of Mr. Frenchy Cannoli, who's no longer with us. I love that man. He just his knowledge, his character, and love of the plant as well was phenomenal. So I just addicted to watching him. So yeah, man, it's everything I've learned is through the community or people that have been in the cannabis industry for years.
Awesome. I was fortunate enough to shout out to my buddy Kush Cake Pops, my buddy Jay Rocca. He put an event on. I'm in Orlando, Florida. Right before I moved down, he had an event in Massachusetts, where I'm from, and he brought in Frenchy Cannoli to teach the hash method. And this was like right after it was legalized, so it was kind of weird, but I didn't care. But it was cold. It was February. We were out on the street.
Yeah,
They had a big like hookah bong, I guess. Everybody had their mouthpieces, and he
yeah,
was, yeah, I think he had like 3 ounces of the hash, and he just cut up, it was like the blonde hash, cut up chunks, put it in this hookah, and we're out there on the street, and there was some event. It was right next to where they have the big events in the city of Worcester, and I felt bad, like parents were walking by with their kids, and we're out, there's like 50 of us crowd around like crackheads, like smoking out of this big hookah. But I know I think it was a year or so later he passed away. But my buddy Jay Rocca from Kush Cake Pops, his intention was, listen, you are one of the guys that knows how to make it this way. We need you to be teaching people how to make, resurrect this form of hash making.
yeah,
And I haven't seen my buddy in a while. He just had a kid, and he's busy, being a dad and all that stuff.
yeah.
So I haven't had a chance to reconnect with him in a couple of years, but he's also part of the reason we started this show, where I told him I was moving down here. What can I do to network and start getting in the cannabis community? And he just said, start talking to people, build a network, start, just create your own community, and then eventually you'll either gravitate or so a lot of props to my buddy at Kush Cake Pops. We'll make sure we, sprinkle in his name or overlay a
Definitely.
photo or something. But
Yeah,
if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have, known who Frenchy Cannoli was. So
that's phenomenal. That's really cool.
yeah, that was.
Small world, man. Now everybody's just kind of still, somewhat interlinked to each other. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't attend the hash making class. It was kind of like a party afterwards. He had some vendors set up, and
Okay.
so it was like a cool venue. You could go. It was like I think it was called a hookah lounge. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, so this was like, I think he did it for 2-3 days, and then on the third day it was like the event where you'd go and smoke and but yeah, it was a really, really cool, real chill experience. I left Massachusetts right as it became legal. So, now I'm down here and I pretty much just do the same thing down here in Florida. So, uh,
Nice.
I mean, most of the time I lived in Massachusetts, it was illegal. So
Yeah.
I just live my life as if it's still illegal. So,
Yeah.
but so you're in Ottawa, you're in the capital city there. Um, I know some provinces like Quebec, they're like a
Mhm.
little different. You can't have as much. So you're in the capital city. Are you guys like at the forefront of the regulations and where everything comes down? Is it like what happens in Ottawa pretty much permeates everywhere else?
Yeah, pretty much. I believe so, man. Yeah, and like you said with Quebec, it's interesting because I'm not very far from Quebec. We go over quite often, and because it's so close, it seems feels like it's the same province, but it's not.
Right.
So I had to do my research because going into the province thinking I can walk around like I do here, just puffing on a J, you can't do that over there. You kind of got to stay on your own private property and so on and so on. But yeah, I guess yeah, I mean, the prime minister's here, man. He makes the rules and they do the legislation in the downtown and all that, and rules. Sorry, not the rules, but it all goes out that way. So yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when we here in the States learn that they're going to pass legalization in Canada, a lot of us were like, well, I had a bunch of friends, oh man, we got to go. It's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it's awesome. But like, let's see exactly what happens because, there's like Massachusetts, where I'm from, it's a very political state. There was three, if not two, three dispensaries that were the first ones, the only ones open. One of them was in like Boston, so where I lived in Central Mass. It took an hour if you had a card. I've never had a card. It took you an hour to go there, or you could go to Western Mass, which was about an hour and 20 minutes away. You needed like $1 million insurance bond, and so even when it was for medicinal, legalized for medicinal purposes, uh, it was very difficult to get it.
Mhm.
And I did see that some cops were starting to not pay too much attention to it. So even if I had some without a card, you know, I've never been in that situation, but most of the people I knew, they really didn't care as much. But, it took several years. It took, you know, a lot of politicians and their friends to get paid and their pockets get greased before it became, where you and I could open a dispensary or you and I could home grow or, um, that's why, uh, especially doing this show here in Florida, a lot of people are like, oh, you need to get your card. It'll open up, you can go to more dispensaries, you can go to more events. And I've certainly contemplated it, but I also kind of like, I walk down the street every night, uh, walking my dog, I'll smoke a joint.
Yep.
Uh, Pretty much all my neighbors know me. They always see us outside walking my dog. Uh, Nobody's said anything. I kind of want them to be like, hey, what's going on? But, uh, I want to break the stigma and, let them know, hey, the guy that walks the dog every day, that does all these things, every night he's smoking a joint. I don't smoke a joint and do this because I don't do it as well. But, like everybody else, we use it for certain purposes, whether it's
Mhm.
medicinal or recreational, stress, to sleep, to eat. Um, so I think it is kind of coming around. My parents are in their 70s. My dad's 81. And their friends, oh, my friend took the weed. And I'm like, well, what did he take? Well, he had back surgery, he took CBD. That's not weed. Technically it's not. It's not weed the way you think it's weed.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, no, 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 I know. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I just, want you to know what it is. Um, I also volunteer at a raptor rehab. I work with hawks and owls and falcons,
Okay.
and we use CBD cream on some of their talons because since the birds that we can't release, they live on perches, and they live in a 10 by 10 shelter.
Mhm.
But in the wild, they'll be constantly going to different trees and they're moving. But in captivity, if you want to call it that, they can get bumblefoot, which if they sit on the same perch over and over again, they get like these calluses that can become deadly if they lose their talons. That's it. And so we put a CBD cream on, and even they were joking one day, and I'm like, well, it's fine if we joke, but there's younger kids here, 16, 17 years old. I just want to make sure they know the difference between CBD and THC and hemp. And so we had a good conversation one day about hemp and why is it illegal, and and so you realize how fast hemp grows. They make hempcrete, they make hemp paper and hemp products. And, so if it can do all these things, then why is it illegal? And more than trying to give them the answers, give them the questions, let them go find the answers.
Definitely.
But, it is, the stigma is breaking down. So that's a good thing, but it seems like it's just too slow for me. I mean,
I hear you.
maybe I've been in it so long, and it just feels like, I've known this stuff for 20 years, and I have no medical background. Like I'm a nobody. I used to smoke weed and DJ and you know what I mean? Like play music and
Yeah.
so like, if I know this stuff, then what's the real story here?
Yeah. No, I completely get it. And exactly. And that's why I'm so open with it as well. And the funny thing is at my career, I have electricians actually that come in and ask me, hey man, so do you know a strain, or do you know where I can get this that'll help my dad with this? And it's so funny because my boss is the odd time that not in my current job, sorry, used to call me Dr. Chris. Because and the great thing is they never looked at it as a bad thing, right? So they didn't pull me aside and go, we don't want you talking about that, because it was the customer coming to me, and there was no negative talk. It was about the customer's father or helping somebody, or it wasn't like, hey man, you know where I can score so I can get high this weekend. It was completely medical in that. So but even then, but medical or recreational, I am 100%, it should just be enjoyed. I'm not sure if you're on the same boat as that, but I mean, it's a seed that comes out of the ground that you take care of, or nature takes care of, right? Then it produces this bud that can either heal you or just make you feel wonderful. And then there's not really any bad side effects as well, besides smoking. I mean, that's for your lungs, but there's many ways around it. So yeah, I'm 100. I get you with the, let's make it a good thing and not such a bad thing. But
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a plant that does something different for everybody. So you do with it as you will. And like you said, it can't hurt anybody. I mean, maybe if you're in a dispensary and 100-pound brick of weed falls on you, that's maybe the first and only death from marijuana.
exactly.
Directly, by the way. But yeah, I definitely had that conversation one day. These teenagers they're talking about it, and I just say, hey, go Google how many people have died from marijuana, and they were like, well, I don't think anyone. I'm like, okay, so end of conversation, end of it being bad. You know what I mean?
Right away, right there. Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
But I think being high school kids, they were still in the stigma, whether it's from the teachers or the parents, that this thing is a drug. Okay, well, coffee's a drug. If we're splitting hairs here,
No, exactly. But the good thing is it's getting out there. A lot more and more people, like you said, the older generation as well. Like, I mean, you go into you go into the stores nowadays, and there's a variety of age. There's the teens that just became legal to try it out themselves, to the elderly that can barely walk. It's phenomenal to see the age difference, and to see the different people as well. You see suits, you see people, you know, like it's white collar, blue collar,
Yeah,
anybody and everybody. It's beautiful, man. I love it.
yeah, it's great. Well, Chris, it's been a great time speaking with you, learning more about
Yes,
you as well as CannaFlower. So let everybody know where they can follow you at.
definitely, man. I'm only on Instagram at Chris_CannaFlower. I have YouTube, but there's nothing up there. But come on over, check me out. I pop into lives here and there. There is Discord that I join in every once in a while too. You can probably, or I don't have links unfortunately, because I just join other Discords. I hook up with friends. But Instagram, that's my main link. Follow me there and come say hi.
Awesome. We'll have the links in the description below, so definitely give Chris a follow. And for those of you watching this on YouTube, go down there, hit that like button, smash that like button, as they say, for my
Definitely.
man. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already subscribed to Dro TV, make sure you go down there and subscribe, because otherwise you're going to miss great interviews like this one with my man Chris. So Chris, thanks again for coming on Dro TV today. And as always, smoke them if you got them.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mike. It's been a pleasure, man.
What's up, Dro TV family? You can now stream the audio version of all these episodes on your favorite podcast player. And if you like more episodes like this, check out this playlist we put together over here for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. You don't want to miss more great content from Dro TV. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, smoke them if you got them.